Britain, how many times do you have to be warned before you wake up? I spent the whole of last year shouting about the Data Use and Access Act. 15 videos in a playlist, posts, lives, explaining exactly what was coming, how it would hand the government new powers over your personal information, your movements, your money. And most people, well, they just scrolled past. They saved it to watch later and never did. And by the time you actually noticed, it was already law. Well, are you going to do the same with this? Because what I'm about to tell you is going to rattle your cage. This isn't a future proposal. This isn't a rumor. This is a law you're already living under, and it's more dangerous to your freedom on the streets than any app on your phone. You see, while you were locked down, while you were clapping on the doorstep, Parliament passed the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Act, the CHIS Act, and it gave the state the legal right to plant spies, informants, and provocateurs inside protests and movements, and to authorise them to break the law to do it. And most people have never heard of it. That's how the establishment likes it. So here's the picture. You're at a protest. Could be farmers fighting for their livelihoods. Could be locals outside a migrant hotel. Could be ordinary people angry about tax rises and the cost of living. It's peaceful. Families, banners, chants. The cameras are rolling. Then it happens. Despite your objections, one bloke hurls a bottle. A small group push the police line. A brick flies. Shields go up. Batons come out. Chaos ensues. And just like that, the headline changes from thousands protest peacefully to violence erupts at extremist rally. You get arrested. They vanish. And have you ever wondered who those people are? Why they never seem to get the same treatment? Why it's always just a handful who drag the whole thing into disrepute? Well, under the CHIS Act, those people could literally be authorised agents, embedded, approved, protected. If they commit an offence, it's signed off as part of their cover. You're nicked, they're immune. That's not paranoia. That's the legal framework Britain now lives under and has done for 4 years. You see, before 2021, undercover work was already happening. We all knew that. But there was at least a legal grey area around informants committing crimes. This act removed the grey area. It created something called a criminal conduct authorisation. It basically lets a list of public bodies, MI5, all police forces, the National Crime Agency, HMRC, the Armed Forces, even civilian regulators like the FCA and the Food Standards Agency, authorise an operative to do something that would normally be a crime if it's necessary and proportionate for national security, preventing crime or protecting the UK's economic well-being. Ever notice how vague that last one is? Economic well-being. That could cover strikes, boycotts, protests, anything that threatens a big contract or government policy. And here's the kicker. The Act doesn't list crimes that are off limits. None. Not murder, not torture, not sexual offences. Ministers said we'd never authorise that. Civil Liberties groups said, then write it in the law. But they didn't. So let's just get back to our protest. You're there because you care, you're disciplined, you want to make a point, but in your crowd are always the same archetypes. The guy who suddenly lobs the brick, the handful who push the police line just enough to spark a clash, the loudmouth who shouts, "Come on, let's charge," and tries to drag you forward. You probably don't know them, they're not necessarily your friends, no one really knows who they are, they're not even necessarily on your side, they may not even believe in the cause, but they're in the middle of it, shaping the footage, shaping the narrative. That's exactly the behaviour this law makes possible. It doesn't just authorise watching, it authorises doing. And if they're authorised, they're protected. No judge signs off beforehand, oversight only after the fact by a commissioner reading paperwork. No transparency, no accountability, and any paperwork on it is usually redacted. And this is not new. The Spy Cops scandal, now the subject of a public inquiry, showed how officers infiltrated unions, environmental groups, and campaign movements for decades. Some even started relationships under false names. Real people were deceived. Families were hurt. That was all before 2021. The CHIS Act just put the same playbook on a statutory footing. It took what was already happening and gave it legal immunity. So when you hear a politician or a pundit say protests are turning violent, Don't look at the crowd, look at the incentives. Who benefits when a movement is discredited? Who gets to brand everyone as an extremist because of the actions of a few? Under this law, that handful can be state-authorised, and you'll never know until it's too late. You might want to start having a look at the Southport footage again, because it wasn't the masses that caused the problems, it was the few, and the government came out with their line almost instantly. Like they knew it was going to happen. You see, this isn't ancient history. This is the environment you're living in right now. Farmers' protests, hotel protests, tax marches, free speech rallies. More and more ordinary people are out in the streets. And what better way to neutralise that energy than a few well-timed provocations that turn the headline from public anger into public danger? This is why I keep hammering the same point. It's not just about digital ID. It's not just about data. It's about control. The Data Use and Access Act hands them your information. The CHIS Act hands them your movements. Together, they build a system where dissent can be monitored, manipulated, and discredited from the inside out. And the establishment parties, they're not fighting it. They're the ones that passed it. They waved it through. Labour, Conservatives, two sides of the same coin. Reform is the only movement even talking about repealing this kind of authoritarian law. That's why they're terrified of reform, because reform threatens the machinery of control, not just the minister in the chair. And as always, you will ask what you can do. Well, I'm not staying home. I'm not saying stop protesting. What I'm saying is go in with your eyes open. When you march, stay lawful and disciplined. Don't give them the clip they want. Assume that infiltration has taken place. That's not paranoia. That's adult risk management. Challenge agitators. If someone's always pushing escalation, ask them why. Document everything. Your phone is your witness. Because until laws like this are repealed, the provocateurs will be there legally, and the only defense you've got is discipline and sunlight. This is not democracy as you were taught it. This is a state that now has legal cover to manipulate movements from the inside. It's not a tinfoil claim. It's on the statute book. And unless people wake up, really wake up, it will keep getting worse. I warned you about the Data Use and Access Act. Most scrolled past. Don't make the same mistake here. Don't swipe. Don't watch later. Share this. Tag someone who needs to know, because knowledge is the first step to defending your liberty. They have to make this public access. They do not have to push it down your throat. Eyes open, Britain. We play by the rules, and we demand that they do too.